not the
Then
case.
another thing I want to talk about too is also how, you know, the journey of reconciliation actually is not a linear process like this. It's not like you join the program on day one and then you just go, so much better, right? It actually goes down first, then it goes up. Then once you go up, you go down again, and you go up, and you go down again. And we call these downs what we call like the paradox of change, right? And to understand why this occurs, you have to understand kind of the journey of how we trust people. If let's say this person's been hurting you for a very long time, and they suddenly show up different, they talk differently, they look different, they have a different attitude. What are you gonna do? Hmm, I don't know. You're gonna be suspicious, very doubtful. And so this dips is really bred from your partner's doubt. Is this really? Are you sure this is it? Right. So you're gonna find that as you change, you're going to get more resistance, and you're gonna get further away from the outcome at first, which is what we call the paradox of change. You went through that when you first joined the program. You started to like use some of the conceptual understanding that you had, right, to start to like talk differently, to think differently, stuff like that. And your partner responded to that by giving you a lot more resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, you don't talk like that. What are you doing? And also, oh, yeah, she, like, I guess the world doesn't believe, yeah, they just don't believe you're changing, right? Like, my sample size of me acting the way I have through our, what, 13 years of relationship, like, all of a sudden, like, it's just gonna change and that'll be how it will be permanently. No, of course not. You always have your doubts. You didn't like, and not only will they have their doubts about you while you're changing, you'll have, like, internally, I was going through that as well, like, a lot of my POC was me saying, like, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able, like, and then a little bit more of those victim mindsets would pop up. You're like, oh, this is hard. This program's hard because it's hard for me to focus because I have ADD, or it's this these modules are hard to go through because I don't have the time. I don't have this, and you give you it's subconscious, right? But like those thoughts creep in that you're gonna fail because, and then you have to like pull yourself out. You just have to like take a second and remember, like, okay, you're not a victim, and you're gonna succeed despite, uh, because you want it that badly. So,
Yeah.
and
It's so crazy you say that because, my wife and I always have this conversation about how, we look at the life we have now and we're so thankful with everything we have. But we look back at some of the decisions we made. And if we had just made one or two decisions differently, we would have been in a very different place, right? Um, so, for example, if I did not decide to just, you know, abandon my family without them knowing and go to the US secretly by myself, we wouldn't be here, right? If I didn't quit my, at that time, like multiple six-figure job to make no money for the next 4 years to start this business, we would not be here, right? If I was too scared and too stuck with my introverted self and I didn't get on YouTube, we wouldn't be here. I mean, there's so many forks in the road we could have chosen differently, and we would be completely different in a completely different place. Same thing with my relationship too. There were so many forks, and the biggest forks are always during the biggest dips in that paradox of change, right? It's when you are getting so much doubt internally, you're getting so much doubt externally, and resistance externally as well. That's when you need to decide, like, do I want to succeed despite, or do I want to fail because of all these pressure that I'm getting? Um, like you said, like during that dip, that's when the victim mindset really becomes the loudest. And if you haven't really become a performer at spotting those victim mindsets, they will affect you because those victim mindsets will always sound so amazing during those dips, right? It will always sound so amazing.
right, it's the easy way out.
It's the easy way out, and it will sound like it's like fucking cold water, and when you're in a fucking desert, it just oh, that's what I want. But right, it's the people like if you fall for the victim mindset, you die, and you don't even know you died sometimes. But if you don't fall for it, that's when you rise and you go to the next level. But even when you go to the next level, you might find another dip later on, and another dip, and another dip, and each dip is a fork. It's another fork, right?
Right. Absolutely. And you just but those are your times where the like in the program you learn that that's the time to shine, right? Like those tough moments, those like who would have thought, or I know I wouldn't have thought before the program, like I would dread those moments. I hated it. I hated going through like resistance. I hated like having fights. I hated doing all that kind of stuff. And you know, you learn that like this is a chance for you to really show your changes, because the real you shows up to these tough moments.
Yeah.
The real you is is what tell like those moments is tells her everything she needs to know, right? And are you going to fold back into being like a victim that says like, oh, it's not my fault, and like like it runs away from these bad moments? Or are you going to be like a hero that rises up and says, you know what, like it's me and you together, and we're going to fight, we're going to thrive, and we're going to get through whatever this issue
Yeah.
is. uh and that's what I'd rather be the latter. So
Good.
I'm excited for to get further along for sure. So
Yeah.